Welcome inside the Werner Circle, your pit stop for all motorsports news. I'm Jeff Werner, and my guest today has a unique story to tell, one that's turning heads on and off the track. I am pleased to welcome Mr. Armani Williams. Armani, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me on your podcast. It's such an honor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for joining us. I mean, your story is just so fascinating to tell. What drew me most to you was the fact that you are the first NASCAR driver on the autism spectrum. And for me, that hits close to home because I have a brother who is autistic. I mean, he has severe autism. So my first question for you is, when did you first find out you were on the autism spectrum?
That's a good question. It didn't quite hit me until like I was about 6 or 7, and at the time when I was a kid, and really I didn't know what I really had, and then as soon as I started to get these symptoms, of like all these repetitive behaviors, these communication, social interaction issues, I kind of was thinking, hey, what's wrong with me? And then come to find out, I asked my parents, and, at that time I was probably like 6 or 7 years old, and they told me that I had autism. So that at that moment, it kind of hit me that, that was kind of my identity.
Wow. And I mean, it's really fascinating because a lot of people can actually go through life and not even know that they have autism, but they have these characteristics. But what does it mean for someone to be on the autism spectrum rather than have full-blown autism?
Really, autism is just, it's sort of a blessing, I mean, it just kind of shows that, you're unique in your own way, and sometimes we don't want to have these happen to us in life, but we got to deal with them, and I've been figuring out how to overcome the things that I've been challenged, and it's sort of helped me with life off the racetrack and on the racetrack. So I mean, really, as much as it could almost not be in a good way, it's sort of a good blessing for me, and I'm proud to be autistic.
So what are some ways that it has been a blessing for you?
Really just having good parents to kind of help support me through the way, I mean, really by the time I grew up, I really didn't know how my life was going to be since I had autism, and my mom and dad, I couldn't thank them enough. They kind of helped me whatever way they could just to, help me prepare for the real life stuff, and help me overcome my challenges and all that. So, I mean, really, without that kind of support, my life would still be a struggle. But, it's just really that's kind of the blessing I have.
Now, obviously a foundation is very important to have, especially when dealing with a disability but like autism. So how do people normally react when you tell them that you're on the autism spectrum?
I think they're kind of amazed, but, a little surprised, I mean, really, I've talked to a lot of people. I go around the racetrack, and they kind of ask me who I am, and whenever I bring up autism or autistic, it just really amazes me. And, it kind of shows them, that really if a family has a family member who's autistic or their son's autistic, whenever I tell them that, they kind of see me as sort of a motivator and an inspiration, so really, when I tell people that, they're really amazed at, who I am and what I can actually do.
And you have a lot of work off the track in terms of participating with the autism community. You volunteer your time to speak, to hang out with other people, other children or other adults who have autism. What do you learn from your volunteering that you can take and apply to your real life?
really I can take one of those volunteer works and, just kind of adjust to, life as sort of, helping me, interact with certain people, really, you got a lot of these autistic kids, they kind of don't have a lot of experience, and they're in the same situation I have, they struggle to find a way to kind of, see where their life is going to take them, and I'm just there to, kind of help motivate them, help them encourage themselves. So, really, I kind of adjust to that as part of life, just to help me kind of be socially interactive, and be more proactive with other people. Because, that's the main thing, with when someone's autism, that's their main struggle, and the more you can do it, the better it'll get.
Once again, he's Armani Williams. I'm Jeff Werner. We're inside the Werner Circle. Now, it's not very often that we hear of someone on the autism spectrum who pursues a career in racing. So, why did you decide to become a racer?
Really, it started, I wanted to be a racer because that's something that I love, going back as a kid. I would play with a lot of toy cars, and then, later on in life, I discovered something called NASCAR, and they would play it on TV most of the time. So, really, that kind of hit my interest level, way up, and I started watching it for hours and hours and hours, and then at that moment, it hit me as a young kid to, want me to believe, hey, this is something that I wanted to do, was to be a professional race car driver, and really, at the age of 8, that's just been my journey, it's just to get up to, the elite levels of NASCAR, and to become a real professional race car driver, So, that's something that I've been really passionate about for a long time.
Which of the drivers do you look up to, or you've looked up to in the past through NASCAR?
People that I've looked up to all the time, I looked up to Jimmy Johnson a lot. He's a 7-time Cup Series champion. He knows how to win on the track, but he's also got good character off the track. So that's a guy I looked up to. Other people I look up to, Darrell Wallace Jr. is up there in the NASCAR Cup Series. Which as an African American, it motivates me to want to be just like him as well. And then you got another driver in Jesse Wuji, who's trying to move up in the NASCAR ranks as well, So really, those three are the people that I really look up to the most, and I'm sort of inspired.
Well, it's actually funny that you mentioned Jesse Wuji, because he was one of our former guests here on the Werner Circle. So it's very interesting that you mentioned that. But no doubt, you've definitely made an impression, not only in the racing industry, but also the motor industry as well. Dan Mazurko, who's a Chevrolet marketing intelligence agent for GM, he said this about you on your LinkedIn page, quote, "It was an absolute privilege to work with Armani at PlayPlace and at General Motors. By sharing his remarkable journey, he inspired an entire generation of autistic children and gave hope to GM parents who have to deal with autism every day. His infectious charisma and unstoppable desire will truly drive him to greatness and accomplish wonders. Not all heroes wear capes, but this one wears a NASCAR helmet," unquote. How much does praise like that inspire you to continue racing?
Really, it just kind of shows, the kind of support that guy has. Dan Mazurko is a really good guy, and actually is the one who brought me into, the Play Place of Children to help speak with the kids, and, really, just to kind of help share my story to people, and including Dan, it just makes people want to know more, and that's why I'm continuing to bring my story out there, and especially give parents some hope that even one day their autistic children can find a dream that he can be successful in. It could be racing, or it can be anything, So really, just to have Dan Mazurko say that. it means a lot, and I try to, inspire and motivate as much people as I can.
Well, not only are you a racer, but you also just started your freshman year at college. And for most people, juggling school and work is a handful. But how do you juggle that along with being on the autism spectrum?
Really, it's not an easy task. Whenever like I have to be a racer and like I have to do college and all at the same time. But just being autistic, really I've had some help along the way. Going back from like my middle school and high school ways. I used to have assistants kind of like walk me around, kind of like teach me some things, learning how to be independent. Because, like, in the real world, people are going to have to learn to take care of themselves, and that's something that I had to do, and that goes along with school, So, I mean, really, I've learned to kind of help manage my time in, like, certain areas, whether it's on the racetrack or off the racetrack if I have to focus on school, I've been learning how to, like, just, manage my time, and sort of be a little more organized. So, really, that's helped me along the way, and it's still continuing today.
And final question before we let you go here. What are some goals that you have for your racing career?
Really, my goals is I really want to get up into the NASCAR Elite Series, moving up into the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series. Like I want to kind of go up there and build a career for myself to win races, win championships, and really just to continue like my foundation with helping to like bring more awareness to autism, and just to continue to inspire a lot of people. Right now we're trying to like get this story out, and sort of like help bring people into this like magnitude and like see if they'll help support with my racing, and help them as well.
Well, he's Armani Williams, the first NASCAR driver on the autism spectrum. Armani, thank you so much for taking the time to join us inside the Werner Circle. Best of luck to you with your racing career, and continue to be an inspiration and a leading voice for the autism community.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. You have a great day, man.
All right, you too.
And once again, thank you to Armani Williams. If you want to follow his journey through NASCAR, and believe me, it's one you'll want to tune in for, be sure to check out Armani on Twitter at Team Armani Racing and his website, teamarmaniracing.com. While you're at it, be sure to check me out on Twitter at JeffreyWerner3 and on Instagram at JDub2020. For the Werner Circle, I'm Jeff Werner, hoping you have a great day and keep on racing.